Knowing the release of Wonder Woman, of course people are gonna politicize the living hell out of it, and out of all the articles, I found a couple of them. So let's read them, shall we?
When will Wonder Woman be a fat femme woman of color?
By the time Diana goes to retirement, bleaches herself at a tropical island, and eats lots and lots of cake. What do you expect?
He just put on 300,000 pounds. I am so jealous.
Wonder Woman is a feminist. She's certainly been considered an icon of feminism at different times throughout her 76-year career. In the early 40s, when she first debuted in All-American Comics, she freed herself from chains, a symbol used by the suffragists to represent patriarchy. When Miss launched in 1972, Wonder Woman graced its cover, solidifying her place as a feminist figure.
Okay, so far so good. With the exception of patriarchy stuff, but whatever.
Now that the female superhero has finally made it to the big screen, critics and audiences are asking whether Wonder Woman is a feminist film.
Is it pretty freaking obvious? Although if we're talking about current interpretations of feminism, then I don't think Wonder Woman is a feminist movie because, well, that requires Gal Gadot to be everything you said in the title, and that can be problematic.
But the question itself is problematic.
Oh, speak of the devil.
For one, it makes feminist a subjective adjective. Also, it suggests there's a monolithic feminism, when really, feminist movement encompasses numerous feminism emotions. The more inciting questions are, how does this film represent Wonder Woman? What's missing from this representation? And what does it say about this particular moment in time?
I don't know what you're gonna say. It's missing me. Wonder Woman needs to be me. Otherwise, it isn't a good film.
There's no doubt that the film has already broken records. In its first week, it surpassed its 149 million budget by bringing in over 200 million globally. It has the biggest opening weekend ever for a female director, Patty Jenkins, and is the highest-grossing comic book superhero movie with a female lead. Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman, will likely arrive in the prestigious list of female leads in the top 100 domestic grossing.
Yeah, additional data about the movie. Let's move on to why Wonder Woman needs to be all of those things you said in the title.
Why couldn't Wonder Woman be a woman of color? When it was announced that Gadot will play Wonder Woman, audiences went wow, body-shaming her for not having large enough breasts. One can only imagine the white supremacy that would have emerged had the announcement said instead that she would be played by a black woman.
No, it would piss people off because it's inaccurate to the source material. Are you saying being inaccurate to the source material is a white supremacist movement? You know, I'm starting to get tired of those nasty white supremacists that hang out in polls, subreddits, and YouTube comment section. I'm so tired of them, I'm not even sure that they're there. And yet everybody's like, oh no, we should fear those neo-Nazis from Discord and subreddits.
On Paradise Island, there are black warriors in addition to white ones, which is a good start, but other women of color are missing.
Yeah, we only need blue, pale gray, green, and more blue. You can't have the diversity without them blues.
Also, while the female warriors are strong and ass-kicking, they all have tall, thin body types, and they all could be models on a runway. In fact, in a pivotal battle scene, Wonder Woman struts across the battlefield as if on a catwalk. As a result, their physical strength played a second fiddle to their beauty, upholding the notion that in order to access power, women must be beautiful in a traditional way.
Ah, I see. The Amazons who strive for physical fitness in the battlefield should actually be fat because... let me guess, body positivity?
Especially with the body positivity movement gaining steam, the film could have spotlighted female warriors with fat, thick, and short body types. While people have said that warriors can't be fat, some of our best paid male athletes are, particularly linebackers on a football field, and no one doubts their physical strength.
So, women in Wonder Woman, or more specifically, women in Themyscira, should be fat because some men in football fields are fat?
As logical as that sounds.
Another problem is that the story's overt queerness gets sublimated. In heteronormativity, Diana comes from a separatist commune of women who have intentionally chosen to live without men. In one of the first scenes between Diana and Steve, she explains that she read 12 volumes of a series on sex that concluded that while men are required for reproduction, when it comes to female pleasure, they're unnecessary. While a love story develops between them, a requirement in superhero stories, Diana thankfully doesn't compromise her integrity for him.
Well, it's not that the movie doesn't need a love story, but the love story that the movie has is okay enough to develop the characters of both. And honestly, I don't know what you're complaining here about queerness, so apparently Diana is queer because she doesn't need men to fap, but I don't get it either.
In the end, Wonder Woman concludes that only love can save the world. While this may be true, I've never heard any other superhero says so. Why couldn't Wonder Woman fight for justice and eliminate bad guys without having to, in the end, make it about love? Perhaps a more interesting question is, why don't male superheroes do the same?
Love do save the world of male superheroes. It's just that your brain is so thick, you're basically missing it out. For God's sake, Batman v Superman with the whole Martha thing.
While people argue that women are feminine and naturally more inclined to love, this thinking quickly slides into dangerous assumptions like women are more cut out for caring for children and processing feelings.
The assumption that women are more cut out for carrying children and processing feelings is dangerous. How ideologically deranged do you have to be that the mindset that women are good at carrying children is somehow dangerous to you?
This gender essentialism not only keeps women in the home, it undercuts men's emotional and creative capabilities. It also reflects the current double standard that women can have it all, but in order to do so, we have to work harder than everyone else and carry it all on our shoulders. Like Wonder Woman, we have to lead on the battlefield and be the ones responsible for the emotional well-being of the family, community, and world.
Well, this article self-defeats itself. This article is too boring. Can I have something more fun to read?
A letter to my sons after watching Wonder Woman.
A Polygon article by Ben Kuchera. This must be interesting. Let's read on.
Wonder Woman is a pretty big deal, and it's something many of us doubted we'd see in our lifetime. A good DC Comics movie.
I know, right? I mean, the last good DC Comics movie was the Lego Batman movie. Does that count?
But there's a lot going on here, and it's something I think we should talk about, because I don't want you to hear about Wonder Woman from the streets.
Oh my god, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life!
I really miss bum reviews.
I'm kind of joking, but also kind of not. Let's have this conversation in the car so we don't have to look each other in the eyes, because this might get uncomfortable.
This is from Polygon, one of gaming's most famous websites. What am I reading?
No, this isn't how women feel watching Marvel films.
No, of course not. I'm gonna read to you how they truly feel.
I took my girlfriend to see it. She knew nothing about Wonder Woman. In the opening training scene, she leaned over and whispered, "Those are all women?" After the movie, she had to take a moment in the car. She said, "So that's what representation feels like. I have no idea that kind of role model was missing from my life." Then we cried. Thank you, Wonder Woman.
On second thought, never mind that.
You know how the first chunk of the movie featured no men? It's kind of tempting to think that uncomfortable feeling we both experience is what women feel every time they watch a superhero movie with a mostly male cast.
Are you saying that you felt uncomfortable seeing women on screen? I think I don't know what to.
But the shoe isn't on the other foot.
Can't get away with those typos, hey Ben.
And that strange twist in our guts isn't a replication of anything except our own feelings. We've spent our whole lives being catered to by our culture, so having one example of a superhero movie that doesn't pander to our feelings and power fantasies isn't much. We need to go back to the status quo the next time we see an action film.
Should we? I don't know about you guys, but for some reason, reading through this entire thing, I feel a little bit creeped out.
Women don't go to the movies expecting to see themselves in the heroes. They spent their entire lives consuming pop culture that is meant to make white men like us feel good and powerful. White men haven't been deprived anything by the creation of this film, but women have been shown something that's almost unheard of in movies with a budget this large. A hero who isn't a white guy and who isn't there for our sexual consumption.
Well, obviously, people don't go to the movies to see themselves. They want to see a film that has other people that do cool things that you can't do in real life. Unless you're an actor of that film, I don't think that the reason you want to see movies is because you want to see yourself. For some reason, I feel a little uncomfortable reading this. I don't know why.
This isn't an empathy exercise because we're a few thousand years away from any kind of equality in society or culture before we're put in the same situation. It's important to examine our feelings, but just be aware, this isn't a magical window into what women feel watching the majority of superhero films.
I
think girls suck.
Also, if you're curious about why you're feeling uneasy, it's because our culture relentlessly assures us that society would grind to a halt without the guiding hand of white guys. Wonder Woman shows us a happy, healthy environment when we're not needed for manual labor, war, or sex. This is likely the first time we've ever seen that idea in a mainstream film, and it didn't just seem possible, it felt real.
This is your first time seeing women happy and living in a healthy environment. At least you know that I feel uneasy, but not for the reason that you might think.
This is why we might feel a bit uncomfortable during some parts of this movie, but many women are so happy to see a clear-eyed and positive portrayal of women as warriors, citizens, and politicians. They're crying during the film. It's not an equivalent thing, especially when we know we're gonna leave the theater and re-enter the world where everyone in power more or less looks like us.
Ben, when the feminists complain about those misogynistic men, I always wonder where they are. For some reason, reading through this, I feel that the enemy they're looking for is a lot closer than they might think. I don't know why. I just had this weird feeling, like, how can you see women on screen and feel uncomfortable about it? This really does feel like reading through a serial killer's manifesto.
Wonder Woman is set in 1918 and shows how little respect Diana is given once she enters London society. The men in power are made uncomfortable when she's in a room where strategy is being discussed, and they're later shocked to learn she's a polyglot. Even after being told Diana is the only person available who can read a piece of writing, it takes a man to suggest that she do so before it's allowed to happen. The idea is treated as if it's just crazy enough to work. We don't get to pretend we're past this shit.
Showing one example of an event where men interrupted women. How is that representative of the current society we're living in? And why are you writing this letter as if you're trying to confess your crime?
Don't think society has moved past the point where men have to be shamed into letting women speak for themselves. Women hold just 5.8% of the CEO positions in Fortune 500 companies. These are the people deciding our country's healthcare laws.
Those are also people that women voted as well? And what's the problem with women not holding CEO positions? Why should they? Oh, sure, it might sound good to brag with your friends, my diversity. Hey guys, I'm a CEO of this company, but you can't just get the title and do nothing. Being the CEO of a company is not easy. You have to manage every single part of your company. You have to give orders to other executives. Make sure that you gain profits enough so that you can pay your workers. You are responsible for the entirety of your business. It's the kind of responsibility that a lot of women aren't interested in. You can't just beg for women to be in CEO positions because more diversity. Have you ever think twice of the responsibilities that come from owning businesses, especially big ones? It's not easy, and it's not something that I would just let women to have a burden with unless they're willing to do so, which unfortunately not a lot of them are. To beg for more women to be in CEO positions is an incredibly immature wish that anybody in the entire world should think twice on the burden and responsibilities that come from it. Ben Kuchera, be careful what you fucking wish for. Sorry, ran over.
We can't pretend we live in a time where rooms of almost exclusively white men don't hold the power and that they wouldn't be upset if a woman walked in. These are basic issues of inequality that men have the luxury of not having to think about, which means it has likely felt invisible to you for most of your life. This is just how things are, and of course, how things are has probably worked out pretty great for you so far.
Did you just say that the world is still stuck in the early 1900s? Is this really what you think about the world right now? I don't know about you, but I'm sure that the world we're living in is not as bad as you make it out to be. You're just a paranoid, delusional lunatic.
I don't want you to pretend the scenes in Wonder Woman are addressing solved problems in our society. This isn't a women's issue because women aren't in these places of authority telling other women they can't speak. This is a men's issue, and you're a young man, which means it's your responsibility to begin improving things.
So, this is a letter confessing how you feel uncomfortable seeing lots and lots of women on screen, and now you're telling your kids that feeling. You have issues, Ben.
We're not gonna change anything by taking people to see a movie, but we can sure as shit help by inviting women into the room and then shutting the hell up when they're speaking.
You know that the reason why people interrupt women when they speak isn't always because people hate women, right? Women are capable of being bad too. Don't put women in a pedestal just because they have different genders than you.
Why your dad is telling you these things? Because you're gonna listen to me more than you're gonna listen to a woman telling you the same thing. And that sucks, because I'm less likely to get attacked online for saying these things in an article, and also because I'm likely to get praised for saying basic facts about our entertainment that women have been saying for decades.
Ben, I don't think that people are gonna attack you for writing this. I think they're gonna stay the hell away from you as far as possible.
Because the bar for men talking to other women about this stuff is so fucking low that we are allowed to sail over it by the simple act of showing up and giving a shit. No, you can't use that word now, because Wonder Woman doesn't have the luxury of being just a movie, and like everything else in this life, it has to be twice as good to get the same amount of basic respect, because a white guy isn't the most visible character. Because I don't have to tell your sisters about any of this, they already know.
I should probably leave this article as fast as possible. This is getting more and more disturbing to the point where I should probably get some more dumb Wonder Woman article.
Should Wonder Woman have hairy armpits? Plenty reckon so.
At least this one doesn't sound like it came from a serial killer. Or at least it looks like it doesn't.